This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everyone. This is Amelia Neptune at the League of American Bicyclists. I want to thank you for your time joining us today on the webinar, and huge thanks to NBDA for hosting the webinar. Here at the League, we're really excited to be partnering and especially through the Bicycle Friendly Business Program, there's a lot of great opportunities for bike shops to, as the webinar is called, go above and beyond with the BFB program. So I'm going to get started, and later in the presentation, you'll also hear from Jack Johnson, who's the Marketing and Advocacy Director at LANDRY'S Bicycles in the Boston area, and they are one of our platinum bicycle-friendly businesses. So to get started, the BFB, or Bicycle Friendly Business Program, is part of our suite of Bicycle Friendly America programs at the League. Every other year, we rank all 50 states, and then for communities, businesses, and universities, it's an opt-in program, so entities choose to apply for the designation. They fill out the application, which I'll go into more detail about in a moment. We evaluate them, give them feedback, and if they meet our criteria, we give them awards. So that's the very basic overview of how the program works, but I'll give you a lot more detail. So this is just a quick snapshot of the online application for businesses. It is open year-round, but we have 3 deadlines per year. And as you can see, it's the kind of application where you can start it and save your work and come back later. So even if you aren't sure if you're ready to apply it, you're welcome to start an application online at any time, and your data will just carry over from round to round until you submit it. We also have a PDF preview of the application on our website. So if you're curious after this webinar and just want to take a look at all the questions before you decide whether or not you're ready to apply, you're more than welcome to download that PDF and take a look at the questions. You can also see on this screen the breakdown of pricing. That's a common question we get, of how much does it cost for businesses to apply, and it depends on the size of your business. Most bike shops fall in that smallest category of under 49 employees, and it's based on the individual location that's applying, so that's $50. But if you're a bike shop member of the League, it's actually free. You can reach out to me and I'll give you a code to submit your application free of charge if you're a bike shop member of the League of American Bicyclists. So the basic purpose of the Bicycle Friendly Business Program is to give any business the recognition and the feedback that gives them the motivation and the roadmap to improve, to become as bicycle friendly as possible. So every business that applies gets evaluated after filling out that long online application, which does include a lot of information. And we also send out surveys to applicants that we ask them to distribute to their employees, and if it makes sense for them, their customers too. And so what you're seeing on this screen is just a snapshot of the first page of a feedback report for a platinum level bike shop, bicycle friendly business. So you can see they get a snapshot of their scores, some of the high level outcomes like ridership and bike to work day participation. But most of these reports are anywhere from 5 to 10 pages long, chock full of suggestions for improvements. So even platinum level businesses get recommendations for improving. And then over on the right side of the screen, you'll see some pie charts. That's just a snapshot of the kind of feedback you get through the employee survey. After the employees fill out that survey that we send you the link to, we use it to help inform our award decision, but we also give you all that feedback from your employees anonymously, so that you can use that to help you improve as well. And then again, the award levels are really designed to help encourage businesses to move up and sort of benchmark where they are, the first time they apply. If you do get an award, bronze or higher, you're required to renew every 4 years, just to make sure you're still doing all the things that earned you the designation originally. And it also, helps businesses to see, after implementing some of the feedback, they can see how they've made progress and hopefully move up in award levels. Not everyone that applies gets the designation, although it's very rare for a bike shop to apply and not get a bronze or higher award. It has happened that an honorable mention status is given to a bike shop that's just barely getting started in sort of being, a place of advocacy and community building. But for the most part, most bike shops are already doing a whole lot, which might make you wonder, why would I bother applying to the Bicycle Friendly Business Program? So the recognition piece is a great reason. We've got this online awards database that anybody can come to. You can click on your state and see all the communities, businesses, and universities that have received any kind of BFA designation from the league. And a lot of people use these lists if they're, traveling to a new community, or we've even heard from people who are trying to decide where to move to next that used our Bicycle Friendly America awards map. So we've also heard that our Connect Locally map, which lets you even type in your zip code and see all the bicycle friendly businesses in your area. We've heard, we know that it has a really high search engine optimization result. So that's one reason a lot of bike shops choose to go through the program, and also to become bike shop members of the league, is just to get on this online database. But it also gives you bragging rights, both you and your community, for having bicycle friendly businesses in the community. So this is just a snapshot of some of the press we got. Most of these were all within one round. It was a big round when we hit 1,000 bicycle friendly businesses a few years ago. So it got a lot of press coverage. But everybody that gets an award from us, in addition to us promoting your designation with our website and our blog and a national press release that we send out, we also send awardees a sort of announcement toolkit, so you can use that to promote your designation on your own website, on your own newsletter, social media, etc. We also have stickers and signs and things that you can hang up to show off that you're a bicycle friendly business. I think of it, especially for bike shops, as a way to set a good example, and to talk about how businesses in general can be bicycle friendly. If you have a different, another local business owner in your shop and they see that sticker on your window, it's an opportunity for you to talk about how they could be bike friendly too. So we're very proud that there's now a bicycle friendly business in every single state and Washington, D.C. Well over 1,000 BFBs currently hold the designation, and I think just over 200 bike shops currently hold the bicycle friendly business designation. So the criteria to get the BFB award are what we call the 4 E's, and I'm going to go over that really quickly, and then later Jack and I will both be sharing some specific examples of how bike shops meet these criteria. So the application is actually organized into these 4 E's, which is what you're seeing over on the right. Each E has its own page, and we've designed the application to really be a menu of options that's supposed to work for any kind of business, any shape and size. So engineering looks at things like your location, your accessibility by bike, also your advocacy for improving access to your business and to, across your community. So how are you getting better bike infrastructure, put in your community? Bike parking is obviously an important one for any kind of business. A lot of bike shops, have space in their shop that people can just roll their bike in and not have to worry about leaving it securely locked to something. But as I'll point out later, having bike parking outside your business that others can use if they're going to a neighboring business can be a really powerful way to be a sort of vocal advocate for bikes in your community, not just within your business. End of trip facilities are things like showers, lockers, tools, which is a funny one for bike shops because of course you have tools, but we'll talk a little bit more about, again, how you could go above and beyond in those things, and also set a good example for other businesses. Encouragement. This includes things like commuter incentives. I'm sure a lot of your employees already bike to work. Many bike shops report 100% of their employees biking to work, which is great, but it doesn't mean you can't still reward them for that, and make sure that it's the easiest, most convenient, most obvious choice for everybody on your staff. Access to shared bikes is another one that a lot of bike shops, you've got this inventory. Is it possible for an employee to borrow a bike if they didn't bring theirs that day to go out to lunch, for example? Internal bike culture is another one for bike shops that comes kind of naturally to you, but we'll talk about some ways that you can go above and beyond. Bike to Work Day and Bike Month. You're probably aware of it. Maybe you're already doing something for it, but it's an opportunity again to promote biking more generally in your community. And at the League, especially as a national organization, we see this as a great time of year for everyone across the country to sort of come together around bicycling and, you know, put all our efforts in at once to promote it even more than usual. And especially for Bike to Work Day, getting people to try changing their commute if they're currently driving, to give it a try for the first time. And it's a really great way to introduce new people to biking. So yeah, that's why we put such an emphasis on Bike to Work Day and Bike Month, even if, again, 100% of your employees are already biking to work, thinking about it from the larger community perspective. And then along similar lines, supporting local, statewide, and national bike advocacy is a really important part of that encouragement E for bicycle-friendly business designations. Education, the third E, includes things like classes on bike safety and maintenance. And again, this is one where maybe your employees are all well informed and, you know, the safest riders, and obviously they know bike maintenance really well. But how can you be a hub for bike safety and maintenance education in your community and build more knowledgeable bike riders among your customer base, and you know, invite new people into the biking world by providing information for customers and guests on things like where to ride, you know, having bike maps, having explanations of bike infrastructure that might be new in your town or your community, what to ride, helping people with gear, bike fitting, those sorts of things, and of course how to ride. And I'll talk more about education in a little bit. Finally, evaluation and planning, the fourth E, includes things like data tracking, including, you know, your own employees, even if everyone's riding. Do you know how many miles everybody rides a day? How can you sort of translate that into savings at the employee level, at the business level, at the community level? There are a lot of benefits that everybody receives when you have more people biking. And as a bike shop, this is a great way to set an example to say, well, we know that X number of employees biking has translated to, you know, X savings in, you know, not having to pay for parking, for example. So doing those calculations, you know, you might not need to convince yourselves or your own store owners, managers, et cetera, that this is worthwhile, but it's really valuable data to be able to take to other businesses to set the example. Also participation in anything you're doing sort of public facing, like rides, classes, and events. Other things under evaluation and planning would be things like having dedicated staff and setting measurable goals to improve. So I'm going to hand it over to Jack now, who again is the Marketing and Advocacy Director and at Landry's Bicycles. And I just want to say that having someone with a title like Advocacy Director is a great way for a business to, you know, rise to the level of a platinum bicycle-friendly business. And I'm excited that you get to hear directly from one of our bicycle-friendly businesses, not only who's a platinum, but who has been literally with the program since our very first round in 2008. I think they were one of 14 businesses that applied when the program first started 11 years ago now. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Jack.
Well, thank you, Amelia. Happy to be with you all today. Hope everybody's doing well. As Amelia mentioned, I am the Marketing and Advocacy Director at Landry's Bicycles, and I'm very happy to have that A word in my title. I wish I could spend more time on advocacy, so I'm happy to be talking about the bicycle-friendly business program today and Landry's experiences with it. Next slide. All right, so I thought I would give you a quick background on Landry's Bicycles. We have 7 stores now in Massachusetts. We have around 120 staff in season with about 45 core staff year-round. Our company culture and core values are rooted in bicycle advocacy, and I joined the company in 1997. Around 22 years ago. And I did have bicycle advocacy connections before I joined Landry's. I founded my town's bicycle committee, and also was on the board of directors with MassBike, the Massachusetts Bicycle Coalition, for several years. And also another fact about Landry's is that longtime Landry's co-owners, Peter Henry and Tom Henry, have been involved in bike advocacy for decades. Many of you probably know Tom Henry from trade shows and bike industry meetings, and Peter Henry now serves on the board for the National Bicycle Dealers Association. And this is a photo of our company meeting this past winter, so you can see who we are. Next slide. As Amelia mentioned, we've been with the Bicycle Friendly Business Program now for, about, I forget how many years it is, but since 2008. So we've been gold for a while. Then 2 years later, we decided to up our designation to platinum. We actually made a concerted effort to go from gold to platinum back in 2010, and we've been platinum ever since. And I'm a big fan of the Bicycle Friendly America program, including the Bicycle Friendly Business program, so I'm happy to be talking with you all today. Next slide. I'm going to give you some examples of bicycle-friendly activity at Landry's, and as Amelia mentioned earlier, all bike shops are inherently bike-friendly businesses. So these are just some examples that make Landry's very bike-friendly, both inside and outside our company. I'm going to talk briefly about our website at landrys.com, some of the metrics we capture on bike commuting statistics inside the company, our local advocacy outreach with bike-friendly community projects, and also a little bit about our community outreach and helping other businesses to be bike friendly. Next slide. So let's start with our website at landrys.com. This is a custom designed website with smart e-tailing, and I can't say enough good things about smart e-tailing. They're a wonderful business partner for independent bicycle retailers. And on landrys.com, we did design it to have a lot of resource information. Here's an example of everyday biking tips for people who, might be thinking about getting around without an extra car in their family. How do they do it, especially here in Boston, where there's a lot of weather? So we have, biking tips on route planning, rules of the road, winter riding tips, just a lot of encouragement. We also have a lot of information listed under the resources menu of our website, as well as community and events listings on our website as well. Next slide. All right, here's an example of our events calendar, which is filtered by different categories, including Landry's group rides and bike advocacy, which is showing up here on the slide. I personally maintain this calendar schedule, and it's one of my favorite things to do at Landry's is to help spread the word to people to get off the couch, get off their screen, and go ride. Next slide. Here are some bike commuting stats that we compiled last year when we reapplied for designation as a bicycle-friendly business. One of the suggestions that LAB gave us when we were gold was to start tracking this information and setting goals for bike commuting inside our company with employees. And this is one of the ways we went from gold to platinum. And it's some amazing statistics here when you look at calories burned and money saved. I always say that, one way to economize is to skimp on your car and splurge on your bike. I'm obviously the marketing director for Landry, so I have slogans like this up my sleeve. But, it's really good information to share with our staff, especially, that we are making a difference here in, getting to work in other ways besides just driving there. All right, next slide. Community advocacy is a lot of what we spend our time with at Landry's, and Landry staff have been involved in both these projects over the years and many more projects as well. But these two projects might not have happened if Landry staff were not involved. On the left, there's the groundbreaking ceremony for the Cochituate Rail Trail, which is just being built. This was the groundbreaking ceremony in July this past summer, held on the hottest day of the year. It was close to 100 degrees, hazy, hot, and humid. And you can see, I don't know if you can see all the bikes in the background, but dozens of people actually rode to this event. It was a wonderful community event. It's been a long time coming. And we're looking for the trail to be built later next year or the year after. And this trail happens to be located very close to Landry's Natick headquarters store. So it's an important project for us. It's a great project for the community. On the right, we see protected bike lanes on Commonwealth Avenue in Boston. And this bike lane passes right in front of Landry's Boston store. And again, Landry's staff in Boston especially were heavily involved in promoting this project and even hosting community meetings at our store, hosting receptions to basically build the word about it and build community support for this kind of infrastructure. So you can really make a big difference just by showing up and getting involved. Next slide. One of the things we've been doing most recently is helping other businesses to become bike friendly, especially other non-bicycle businesses. This is a photo of our offsite service team hard at work at one of our events. I think this is in Boston in the medical district. And you can see that there are 2 workstations right in front of the business. And we're providing checkups and clinics and seminars to their employees at their workplace. And the service is free. This was basically a bike checkup, and we're doing minor maintenance on the bikes. But the service is free to the local business employees, and the business pays Landry's for our services. So we do get paid for this. And this program is now generating enough revenue to pay 1 employee full-time salary plus part-time hours from other staff. And we sometimes need 3 to 4 people to staff some of these larger events. And the benefits to the other businesses, they're promoting healthy and happy staff. They're promoting a healthy alternative transportation. And for the most part, these businesses, especially in Metro Boston, have no place to park, or they've kind of outgrown their parking facilities for cars. Plus, there's a lot of road congestion, so they're promoting bicycling as a better way to get around. And this is also a perk for their employees that they can get a free service checkup on their bikes. If they bike in and bike in that day and get a free checkup from Landry's, it's a win-win-win for everybody. All right, next slide. So here's some encouragement for why apply if you're a bike shop out there and wanting to think about whether you should apply as a bicycle-friendly business. First of all, as Amelia mentioned earlier, it's easy for a bike shop to be awarded bicycle-friendly status at some level. Whether it's honorable mention or bronze, you're going to get a gold star just for applying. So that makes you feel good. But more than that, you can motivate your staff and increase teamwork inside your company. You can make the application process a team project for bicycle-friendly businesses. You can ask employees what we're already doing that's bike-friendly, what we could do more of that might work for us. And, it might be a lot of low-hanging fruit that could work well for employees as well as customers. And it's great for recruiting new staff. If they see that you're a bicycle-friendly business on your website, you can get more resumes that way. I know a lot of people come to employment to Landry's from our website, and they're just amazed at all the stuff we do to promote better bicycling. So you can make a difference with your staff big time. You can also develop new business connections and opportunities by doing outreach to other businesses. The photo here is from a college campus in downtown Boston. And we have managed to, through our community outreach, we've sold fleets of bikes and maintenance contracts to many local colleges and other businesses for them to, promote on their campus. And just, it's an easy way for them to get around campus. They do sometimes private bike sharing. So, we are getting sales out of the program as well in ways that we might not have otherwise. And finally, as Amelia mentioned, we can all serve as a role model for other businesses, especially non-bike businesses in your area, to promote better bicycling. I'm going to leave you, next slide. I'm going to end with this picture from Fenway Park, home of the Boston Red Sox. And the Boston Red Sox in Fenway Park now provide free bike valet parking on ball game days. It can cost more than $50 to park a car near Fenway Park on game days, and the traffic is a nightmare on game days. But bicyclists can now cruise in and get free valet bike parking. Now, how cool is that? So this is a great example of a non-bike business promoting bicycling. And this is the power of bicycle-friendly businesses. and local bike shops can now take the lead to serve as role models for other businesses and get on board with better biking for a better world. So I hope I've encouraged some other bike shops to participate in this program and help to spread the good word about how we can make America more bicycle friendly. I'm happy to answer questions at the end of the webinar. I'm now going to turn it back over to Amelia at the League.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jack. LANDRY'S is such a great example, so I'm really pleased that you were able to present and share all the great work that you're doing. And I wanted to round out the presentation by just sharing some excerpts from other bike shop applications that we've gotten highlights across the 4 E's. So similar to what Jack described with advocacy for better bike access in the community, there's a great example from Liberty Bicycles in Asheville, North Carolina. This is the owner, Claudia, at a groundbreaking for a local trail. Their application described how there isn't a lot of great bike infrastructure near their shop yet, but they've done a ton of advocacy to make the rest of the community more bike friendly everywhere they could. And they'd even do things like organizing volunteer trail cleanup and bike lane cleanup, like you can see in the picture on the right. And they pointed out this bike lane isn't even that close to their business, but they, wanted to show their support for it. And it was, just a great way to get some employees together and with volunteers from the community. Bike parking is another really big one, once again, for the engineering E. And here's an example where a bike shop that, obviously had room for bikes inside the shop and, as you can see, has some bike parking on the sidewalk. But they went above and beyond and worked with the city to get some of the on-street car parking removed and replaced with a bike corral. And now you can obviously see how many more bikes they can accommodate for the rest of the local business community. This is here in DC, the bike rack. Similarly, we're seeing some of our top-level bike shops in the BFB program do things like consulting and providing free bike racks to other businesses in their community. Bike World Bikes and Fitness in Paducah, Kentucky, they're actually paying for other businesses that want bike parking. They're helping make that bike parking happen by paying for the installation and purchase of the bike racks. And LANDRY'S, I had to give this example because you can read about it on their own website, those sort of bicycle parking consulting that they do. End of trip facilities, obviously every bike shop has plenty of tools inside, but we also encourage you to have one of these public bike repair stations outside. Unless you're open 24/7, there will be times when a bicyclist might be passing by your shop and needs some assistance and might not, your shop might be closed when they really need help the most. So just as sort of a goodwill measure for bicyclists in the community, this is something that's going to bring more people to your shop more often. So we definitely encourage, and if you don't have it outside of your shop, think about possibly sponsoring one somewhere else in the community. Outside City Hall is one of my favorite places to see bike repair fix-it stations installed, just to make sure all your decision makers in the community can see it be used as well. So that's something to think about sponsoring elsewhere in the community. A major piece for both engineering and encouragement and education is how you can use your physical space for information sharing and community building. So building out a sort of information center and a place for people to just hang out and meet other bicyclists is a great way to use your space in your bike shop. If you have the extra, an extra corner to add some couches and a set of shelves to have, bike maps and bike safety information, like you see here, that's something we strongly encourage bike shops to do. Also using your space for advocacy events, educational events. We see a lot of great photos just like this submitted through BFB applications from bike shops where they're showing, how they're being central in their community to bring bicyclists together around whether it's advocacy issues or just a fun social event for bicyclists to meet each other. Another really great example, if you do have the space, is to share your physical space with the local advocacy group. If you've got one that's just getting off the ground and needs some help, you know, if you can't support local groups financially, there are plenty of other ways to support them. One is giving space. There are plenty of other examples of sort of in-kind support that you can offer to local advocates. But I thought this was worth highlighting if you're thinking about your sort of physical space and how it can be used to be even more bike friendly. Moving on to encouragement, another example from our friends at Bike World Bikes and Fitness. The language you see here on the right is actually from their staff handbook, and I thought it was just a really great sentiment. It is good for business for us to be on bikes. We've seen similar language from other bike shops that say not only should we be riding, but you know, be the safest rider you can be out there to set a good example, and that's sort of a form of advocacy as well. But the bike to work incentive is a great way to make sure all of your employees are choosing to bike as often as possible. And we see a lot of different models for how this could work. Bike World Bikes and Fitness, for example, gives 35 cents per mile up to 14 miles a day, and people submit receipts to get reimbursed for any biking related expenses to support their commute. Also event entry reimbursements for races and rides and any kind of bike related event is a great way to support more riding as well. If you're looking for a simpler way to do it, instead of keeping track of miles, you can just keep track of rides and give something like $1 credit for each one-way ride. And we see time and time again that these kinds of incentive programs, even if you already have a lot of people biking, it's great for employee morale, and it's really great, as Jack described, tracking these things can be really great for showing other businesses the benefit of bicycling. And if you're intimidated by the idea of data tracking, or if you think you're just too small, keep in mind that it can be very simple and very low tech. Something like a whiteboard can be a great way to just let people check off every day that they biked. And this can be both your data tracking and your encouragement tool, you know, rewarding X number of bike rides using a tracking tool like this can be pretty easy, low-hanging fruit for most businesses. And even really small businesses. This is obviously, you know, a pretty large staff, but, you know, we see 3-person bike shops doing this too. You can make it competitive if you want. There are also obviously lots of higher tech ways to do this. You can, you know, join a team on Strava. You can use the National Bike Challenge online. There are a number of mechanisms out there to help businesses track. Also on the encouragement front, there's a lot of different things that bike shops can do to support and grow the local bike community, to you know, reach more people, get your name out more often. I loved the bike valet example at the Boston Red Sox Stadium. Free bike valet at your local farmers market is another way to do it. We see a lot of partnerships with groups like Boy Scouts and local schools, local bike rodeos for local schools. There are many, many ways to do this. All women's events are really great. Having sort of an all women's bike maintenance night or just rides is something we strongly encourage bike shops to do to make your events and rides feel more inclusive, and making sure that there's a space where women feel comfortable. If they're not already participating in your events, consider a women's only event. And you know, integrating yourself into the existing events, for example, supporting something like the Ride Across South Dakota ride every year. Again, partnering with local schools, getting more kids on bikes is great for your community in general. I don't think I need to tell you all that, but you know, think about ways that you can participate and help out in the existing safe routes to school or bike rodeo type events that are already taking place. And if they're not taking place, how can you help start them? A bike to school challenge was one great way we saw one of our bike shops participate and support biking and getting more kids on bike in their community. hosting lots of different kinds of rides for beginner cyclists, and getting creative with it. You know, an all-women's mountain bike race called Skirts in the Dirt. That was a fun one. Another one was the One Night Stand, which was an overnight mountain bike race. The anti-race, where the goal is to go as slowly as possible and enjoy your environment and enjoy the company of your fellow riders. All very creative and great community builders. Finding partners in your community, like your local park district. There are many, many great partners. And also keep in mind that not only can bike shops be bicycle-friendly businesses, but government entities can apply to the BFB program too. So if you're finding good partners in the community like this, or if you want them to be better partners, encourage them to apply to the bicycle-friendly business program as well. We do have many park districts and city halls and other specific government agencies at the local level in the BFB program, and it's just a great way to get them thinking about what they could do internally and externally as well. Similarly to along the lines of the park district, participating in national events like Bike Your Park Day, and this was in partnership with the local group Black Girls Do Bike, which does have satellite groups all over the country, so check out to see if your community has one, a Black Girls Do Bike group that you could partner with and support. And then, similar, as Jack said, participating with other local businesses and helping them be more bike friendly. One way to do this is to go to them, participate in their existing corporate wellness fairs or other types of events. For bigger companies, things like new employee orientation could be a way to get in. There are also lots of opportunities to do things like lunch and learns. The free fix-its that Jack described doing at local businesses is really great, and it's so exciting to hear that for Landry's it's been a self-supporting program for them. And this was an example of a non-bike shop BFB application describing how they're partnering with bike shops. So I just wanted to share this. They do a fun thing, an annual pit stop challenge, where they bring in a local bike shop mechanic to teach their employees how to change tires, and then they have this fun race to see who can change the tire as fast as possible. But I share this example to point out that on every bicycle-friendly business application that's not from a bike shop, we're telling them in their feedback report to partner with you. We're telling them to find their local bike shop to partner with on things like education and encouragement events. So they're looking for you, at least we're trying to encourage them to look for you and to give you more business. So if you're able to raise your hand in the community and say, yes, we're the bike shop that will work with every bicycle-friendly business and offer these services, that's a great opportunity for you to support them and in their efforts to be more bike friendly and to make a big impact in getting more people on bikes in your community, including the employees of all those other businesses. On the topic of safety and maintenance, like I said, you could go into other businesses and teach these classes, off-site, like the lunch and learn model. There are lots of great ways to do this, and we see a number of bike shops have a lot of success with this. Often they'll partner with local advocates and sort of do a great sort of combined educational component, so it's safety and maintenance. You can also invite a whole business into your shop if you wanted to, and if you have the space to do it. It's a great way to increase exposure for your shop and get outside groups. And again, if like Jack said, if you can get the employer to pay for this, it's a really great opportunity to have some partnerships with businesses that can help support your business. We at the League of American Bicyclists have a education curriculum and a certification for instructors to teach bike safety. We strongly encourage bike shops and all bicycle-friendly businesses to get an LCI or League Cycling instructor on their staff and to use our education curriculum. We've got a range of bike safety curriculum and materials. This is an example of our Smart Cycling Quick Guide, which you can purchase from our website and make available at your shop. If you want to buy a ton of them and get your logo on it, we do have co-branding opportunities too. We also make these available in a number of languages. We sell a lot of them in Spanish, but I think we have 7 or 8 other languages now too, in addition to English and Spanish. So you can check that out on our website and see if it makes sense. We've also got things like little bookmarks and other sort of smaller, easily accessible bike education materials. And then of course, league cycling instructors get access to our full suite of curriculum, including presentations. And we're going to be rolling out more online classes starting next year. But if you're interested in having someone on your staff become a league cycling instructor, that's another thing you can go to our website for. And this is just a quick snapshot of an infographic you can get from our website of how to host a seminar for getting more LCIs in your community, even if you already have well-trained, well-educated people on your staff, thinking about it from the community's perspective and how to get more LCIs teaching bike education more broadly across the community. Similarly, we have a lot of other great resources on the League's website that I just wanted to point to briefly. National Bike Month, we've got a great guide for communities hosting Bike to Work Day and Bike Month events, and there are a lot of things specifically that bike shops can help with to help make National Bike to Work Day and Bike Month bigger in your community. The National Bike Summit is an annual event hosted by the League here in Washington, D.C., and it's a culmination of lots of advocates, professionals, bike industry, planners, engineers, pretty much everybody involved in making a bicycle-friendly America, coming together, learning, networking, and also lobbying. A really important part of National Bike Summit, and the reason it's in DC is to bring everybody up to Capitol Hill to speak with your representatives about things like more funding for bike infrastructure in the transportation bill, for example. But we always have a number of asks for them. This coming year, 2020, is going to be a big one as far as what we're asking on Capitol Hill, and we'll be opening up the registration for the summit soon. But I also wanted to make a plug not only for you to consider sending someone from your own staff or perhaps you yourself coming to the National Bike Summit, but we also see bike shops encouraging local advocates and supporting local advocates in their community by sending people to the summit even outside of your staff. I didn't make a slide for it, but one of my favorite examples was the bike shop in Paducah, Kentucky that I had a couple other examples from earlier. A few years ago, they offered to pay $100 towards the first 10 people from their community who said they wanted to go to the National Bike Summit. After they had attended, they had such a great time that they wanted to get more people from their community to go. So that's just one example. There are lots of other ways you can support sending advocates to the National Bike Summit or going yourself, but we would definitely love to see you there. So with that, my final slide is just to say, I hope you all consider applying to the Bicycle Friendly Business Program. The next deadline as of this presentation is February 20th, 2020, and the links to apply are right here on your screen. Apply.bikeleague.org is where you'll find the online application. So with that, we can open it up for questions. We've got a few minutes, and I think Rochelle from NBDA was going to help moderate those.
Yeah, so there's a little chat box in your GoToMeeting hub there, and if you want to type in some questions, we got time for a few. Maybe we have some very well-informed people now because I don't see any questions coming in.
That's just fine too.
I don't believe so. So if people do come up with questions, can they email you?
Yeah, so on the screen here, you can see bfa@bikeleague.org reaches the Bicycle Friendly America team. That's me checking that right now. So feel free to send any questions that do come up to bfa@bikeleague.org, and we would be very happy to help take care of you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much. And thanks again for hosting this, and thanks to the attendees for spending the time to learn about the Bicycle Friendly Business Program.